Young Ro is a student in a female-only university. She is an adventurous spirit and often has trouble making it into the dorm on time. The director is a very strict woman and wants everybody to abide by the rules. One night, all the female students are seen running in order to make it back inside the dorm on time. Young Ro is a bit late. The janitor, Mr. Kim, tries to hold the gate open for her, but the director scolds him when she sees him. The janitor closes the gate because if the director sees Young outside, she will kick all of her room's residents out of the dorm. After the janitor closes the gate, the director starts checking all of the rooms. Since Young Ro knows that she and her roommates will be in trouble, she climbs on the second floor from the outer side of the building and roams from room to room, hoping to make it on time inside her room. A young woman who works at the university but is not a student there, Bunok, decides to help Young Ro. She starts screaming that there is a rat in the hallway and causes mayhem inside the university. As we all know, women hate rats. Young Ro makes it back into her room and the director starts her inspection. She notices that Young Ro is a bit sweaty and asks her why. The young girl pretends everything is all right and just exclaims that she had to run a bit because she didn't want to be late. To return the favor to Bunok, Young Ro tries to help her with her dating life. The two of them, along with two more of their friends, end up on a quadruple date with some guys from the all-male university. That's where Young Ro meets Suho for the first time. The two of them meet again one day later in a bookstore and Suho buys a gift for Young Ro. When they walk outside, Suho realizes that some cops are looking for him and he tries to hide. The cops see him, but Young Ro decides to assist him. She pretends they are dating and supposedly makes a scene because she saw him with another girl. The cops leave them alone and Suho tells her that she should become an actress. After thanking her, Young Ro reveals that she helped him because her older brother was a member of the protest as well. In the meantime, an agency talks about Suho, calling him the Black Tiger. Some of the agents go after him and they intercept his car when they see him driving with a few of his comrades. The crash kills Suho's comrades, so there is nothing he can do to help them. Suho runs away to save himself while the agents run after him with their guns. Suho ends up in the all-female university and enters Young Ro's dorm room. The agents burst into the university looking for him, but the director stops them momentarily. She tells them that she needs to see a search warrant in order to allow men inside the building. The leading agent, Lee Gong, explains that this is a matter of national security and they are here because they are looking for a spy from North Korea. At the same time, Young Ro enters her dorm room and finds Suho lying on the floor covered in blood from his wounds. Young Ro starts taking care of him without a second thought, while the director makes an announcement over the speaker for the whole dorm to hear. She orders the girls to get into their rooms and lock their doors because an outsider has broken into the dorm. An aggressive female agent named Han Na sticks a pistol on her head and orders her to make a new announcement in order to tell all the students to open their doors. The director uses the speaker again, but she only repeats herself and tells the students to stay in their rooms. The female agent is angry and arms her gun, but Lee Gong stops her and tells her to go get a warrant, as it will only take them half an hour to have it. Young Ro's roommates return to the room, and they see her treating the wounds of Suho. They start having a debate because they have different opinions on what they should do. Some of the girls are scared and want to take Suho out of there, while others want to help him. Agent Lee walks around the university building and sees some blood trays that indicate Suho entered a specific room. Suho wakes up and tries to leave the room because he doesn't want to put the girls in danger, but he is injured and has no energy left. The girls agree to help him and they transfer him out of the room. The agents come back with a warrant and break the door to Young Ro's room. They only find a student named Ko Hae inside and ask her if somebody suspicious has entered this room. While they speak with Hae, the director sees a blood mark on the floor and uses her body to hide it from the agent's view. The director is tormented by her own bad memories, so she decides to work against the agents. In the meantime, the girls take Suho to the bath and hide him there. However, the agents want to check the bathrooms as well, since some of the girls are missing from the room. The director tries to stop them, but Han Na enters the bathroom and finds the girls naked. The girls act like they are terrified while they are hiding Suho at the closed disposal space. Han Na tries to put some pressure on them, but the girls keep their secret safe. The agents go back to their base to interrogate a man who was a part of the protest movement. Lee asks him about Suho, revealing that he used to live in Berlin. But now he is in Seoul trying to approach Professor Han. Lee wants to know why, but the man gets a cyanide pill into his mouth and commits the unthinkable to avoid being further tortured. Back in the dorm, the girls inform the janitor about Suho and the man agrees to help them hide him in the dorm for a few days until he feels better. According to him, the best place to hide him is the 4th floor, which is now being used as an attic. The girls take Suho there, and Young-ro makes sure to bandage his wounds. Next, Young-ro makes sure to get some food from the cafeteria for Suho to help him get stronger. When she visits him on the 4th floor, she offers him the food, but Suho is more worried about getting some batteries. He tells Young-ro that he found a radio, and maybe he can get it to work so he can listen to it, but his real reason for wanting the batteries is because he needs to communicate with his comrades. He also asks Young-ro to visit him again with a notebook and help him by designing the layout of the building. This will help him escape without being noticed. Later, Suho takes a look outside the window of the 4th floor and realizes that the agents are still looking for him in the woods. They want to make sure that they have not missed anything and that Suho is not hiding around there. That night, Young-ro visits him again and designs the building's layout for him on a piece of paper. At the same time, some of the girls in the dorm have heard noises coming from the 4th floor, and they have notified the director about it. The director, Ms. Pai, gets the janitor and asks him to get the keys to the rooms on the 4th floor. While this is happening, Young-ro and Suho get closer together, and they start feeling the spark igniting between the two of them. Mr. Kim tries to stall the director, but she insists on getting inside the attic. When they do, the room is totally empty because Suho and Young-ro are hiding right outside. While the director is inspecting the room, Young-ro slips and she almost falls to her death. Suho grabs her hand and holds on to her until the director leaves the room. Then, Suho pulls her up and the two of them get back inside the room. Suho is bleeding again due to his exerted effort, and Young-ro makes sure to take care of his injured shoulder. That night, the janitor insists that they have to take Suho out of there because they are going to be found eventually. Mr. Kim helps the girls from Young-ro's room sneak Suho out of the attic, but they have to stop when they see Bunok sleepwalking. Bunok walks around and talks about laws. The group takes Suho out of the building, but they realize that the agents are still searching in the woods for the spy. This makes Suho's escape impossible, so they take him back to the attic. The next day, Young-ro comes up with a new plan when she hears that the university is going to hold a couple of events. She tells Suho that boys will be allowed to come to the university during the event, and all he needs to be there is an invitation. Young-ro gives him the invitation and tells him that he can pretend to be a visitor. That will allow him to merge naturally with the rest of the boys to leave the attic, and they can take it from there. But until that happens, Young-ro decides to go to her house to pick up her brother's stuff. There she is met by her stepmom, but she tries to avoid her. Her stepmom, A-ra, remarks that Young-ro has not visited them in a while. As it appears, Young-ro is the daughter of Chung-soo, who is the director of ANSP. ANSP is the agency that is after Suho. In any case, Young-ro is not in the mood to spend more time with her stepmom, so she just leaves. The next day, it is time for the open house event to take place, and Young-ro meets with Suho on the rooftop. The two of them are dressed well, and they walk inside the building. However, the director sees them and asks what they are doing. Young-ro replies that this guy is her partner for the day, and she was just showing him around. The director scolds her for that, but lets them go. The two partners spend some time around the university, and they end up on the dance floor. Their moves blend seamlessly as a parallel edit shows us that they have danced with one another in the attic as well. It is almost like the two of them are perfect for each other. Soon, the two of them leave the building and meet with one of Young-ro's friends, who gives them a bicycle. Young-ro accompanies Suho up to a point and asks him if he remembers the dorm's phone number, indicating that she will be expecting a call from him. Suho remains silent because he knows that he will be putting Young-ro in danger if he communicates with her. Soon, the two of them part ways and the girl stares at him while he rides away on the bike. Nonetheless, Suho can't ignore his feelings and he comes back to her. But the problem is that one of his former fellow university students has called the agency because he saw Suho riding his bike. The student was interrogated by the agency, and they had instructed him to call them if he sees Suho. Suho stands in front of Young-ro, and he gives her his necklace. Young-ro asks him if he is certain about doing this, because this necklace was given to him by his sister in order to keep him safe. Of course, Suho doesn't have second thoughts about it and tells her that this is the most important thing he can give her. Their sweet moment under the snow is interrupted when one of Young-ro's friends comes to warn them that the agents are notified. Suho hops on his bike and rides away. A few seconds later, the agents see the girls and ask them if they saw a suspicious guy leaving on a bike. The girls do not reveal anything, but the agents try to pressure them. Nonetheless, there are countless guys riding their bikes around that area, so nobody can be certain who looks suspicious and who does not. When Young-ro returns to the dorm, Bunok wants to have a talk with her because she is jealous she dated that cute guy. Bunok lays it on her because she wants to find a date herself, and Young-ro promised that she would help her with that. When Bunok goes back to her office, she accidentally takes a look at the tickets and opens the invitation list to discover what's the name of Young-ro's date. However, there is no checkmark next to Young-ro's date's name, so she realizes that the cute guy did not come into the dorm by checking his ticket. Bunok makes the connection. The noises coming from the attic were actually caused by this guy. Most probably, he must have been the spy who came into the dorm and never left. That night, Bunok follows Young-ro while she takes Suho's clothes from her room to the janitor's office. Having them in her room is risky because somebody may see them. The next morning, Bunok calls Agent Lee and asks him if there is a bounty for giving him information about the spy. In fact, she is going to give him information about somebody who harbored the spy. Lee replies that she will get 50 million won, but right at that moment, the director appears and hangs up the phone. Bunok tells her everything she knows, and Ms. Pai walks to the janitor's room. Bunok shows her the male clothes and the backpack Suho was carrying. Ms. Pai fires the janitor and then takes Bunok to her office to tell her that Suho is not a spy, but rather a student protester. Bunok insists on turning Young-ro in, but Ms. Pai changes her mind by saying that the agency will also call her a spy and punish her. Ms. Pai says the same thing to Young-ro and her roommates when she calls them in her office. After scolding them, she kicks Young-ro out of the dorm and warns the other girls to behave from now on. In the meantime, Suho plans to get Professor Han out of Seoul and take him to the north. He also speaks on the phone with the leader of a political party that is going to participate in the upcoming election and promises him that he is going to complete his mission. It is revealed that this party president is his father. Later, the president has a meeting with two men, one of whom is Chung-soo, Young-ro's father. Soon, one of Suho's comrades gets in touch with Professor Han to inform him about his son's whereabouts. The professor meets with Suho, who tells him that his son is in North Korea and he can help him get there. Once he meets with his son, they can escape together. There is one caveat, though. They will have to do what the North will ask them to do. Suho goes to the woods to get some equipment hidden there, but he also finds an origami with a note for him, written by Young-ro. He also meets with the janitor's son accidentally, and the two of them start running when they see the agents coming their way. They hide in a hut with a secret compartment in it, and the agents fail to see them. However, they are soon exposed and Suho runs to Young-ro's dorm. The agents follow him there, and he has to fight against Lee. Even though he wins their short fight, he can't escape the dorm without being noticed. The agents circle around him in the hall, and Suho is trapped. Not knowing what to do, he grabs Young-ro and holds her at gunpoint. He threatens everyone that he is going to shoot her if they do not let him go. The situation gets very tense as everyone tries to figure out the best course of action. Suho wants the agents to walk outside of the building, but Lee tries to stall him. Han-na puts her finger on the trigger and gets ready for action while some armed agents with masks appear behind Suho. Lee is confused because he is not certain if these guys are going to shoot, but he is also suspicious. Out of a sudden, these agents start shooting at Lee and his team. Lee jumps in harm's way and gets a bullet on his shoulder in order to save Han-na. The situation turns into a shootout between the agents and Suho's undercover comrades. Eventually, Suho runs out of bullets and hears the agents asking for backup on the radio. Knowing that they are going to be cornered and outnumbered, Suho puts a bunch of grenades around his waist while holding one in his hands. Now everyone is in danger because if one grenade explodes, it will cause a chain reaction and everybody will be killed. Lee has no other choice but to ask his team to retreat. However, he asks to stay behind to keep an eye on the students. Suho holds him as a hostage along with the female students of the dorm. The agency's chief, Chief An, notifies Chung-soo of the situation, and he is ordered to save Young-ro no matter what. In the dorm, Young-ro shows her human side and wants to take care of Lee because he is bleeding. The protesters don't allow her to do so, but Suho intervenes and takes her to get the first aid kit. When they are alone, he warns her to calm down and push her luck because she might get hurt. After treating Lee, the agent wants to play some mind games with Suho. He says that he has tried many times to catch him, and he almost died when he was chasing him in Warsaw. He exclaims that he wants to listen to Suho's stories from running around the world, but he is worried that the military might kill him. Next, Chief An joins the scene and informs all of the agents that he is in charge now. He gets a megaphone and talks to Suho, saying that he is the man they will talk to from now on. Suho and his comrades try to decide if they should start negotiating immediately or wait for a while in order to make the chief worried. Suddenly, the situation gets out of hand when the snitch male student, who happens to be in the dorm, tries to escape. The protesters open fire against the police units, and Suho walks outside near the entrance of the building to pull the student back inside. Soon, Chung-Soo arrives and calls Suho to tell him that he is on his side. He claims that Suho's men will get Professor Han to North Korea and promises that he will also provide safe passage for them to make it to the north. In the meantime, Professor Han is being sneaked outside of South Korea through the sea, but the boat stumbles on a random check by the authorities. Professor Han asks for help, but one of the protesters kills him. Eventually, the protesters get caught up in a gunfight against the military. Back in the dorm, Suho and his men use an emergency exit to make it back into the hut and escape through the woods. However, Tae-il, Chung-Soo's partner, learns the news about Professor Han and declares that their only option now is to go execute Plan B. Suho and his two comrades make their first steps out in the woods, but the leader of the protesters stops when he hears a noise. As it appears, they are being watched by some military men. Soon they open fire and one of the comrades is injured. Suho uses a smoke grenade to provide cover for themselves, and they make it back into the hut. Suho realizes that the injured comrade does not have much time left, so he gives him a grenade to help them by stalling the military forces if they enter the hut. Suho and his mate make it back to the dorm, but they are attacked by Lee. However, they are able to beat him, and they get in control of the situation again. Outside the dorm, Tae-il calls his wife, who happens to be a doctor, and asks her to get there. The two of them have a secret conversation, and he says that he wants to send the military to the dorm. However, he can't do that because Chung-Soo's daughter is in the hostages. He wants her to help him because a doctor might be needed inside the dorm, so she might have the chance to kill Young-ro. His wife, Cho-Seung, tells him that she can't kill the girl, but she can mix her painkillers with a sleeping agent to put her to sleep. Meanwhile, the agency taps the university with a wire so they can hear what the protesters are saying. Soon, the director convinces Suho to allow some of the students to go, and they start calling the names of those students. However, all of those students are from Young-ro's room, and the rest of the students complain that this is not a fair selection. Young-ro says she will stay because she can't go, while the rest of the students are forced to stay. Then Suho calls Chung-Soo to tell him that the doctor can come in, but the agents also want to send Han-na inside in order to count the students. Han-na takes Dr. Seong aside and asks her to sneak a pistol inside the dorm. She knows that the protesters are going to search them, and she is the only one who can hide the pistol in her medical equipment and potentially give it to Lee once she is inside. The two women walk inside the dorm and the protesters search them. Seong tells them that they should be careful with her equipment because they might contaminate it. While the doctor gets to check on some of the students, Han-na asks Suho to release some of them because this experience is being very tough on them. Suho agrees to release a few students and walks across the room, randomly picking some of them to be released. Suddenly, Young-ro gets on her feet and asks Suho to release all of the students. Instead of keeping them all hostages, he can only keep her. Young-ro has a good reason for saying this. She approaches Suho and reveals that she is the daughter of Chung-Soo, which makes her an important person and a good bargaining chip for the protesters. Despite the girl's pleas, Suho tells his comrade Ju to take the girl and have her stand by the window. He is not changing his mind, and he will only release 9 random students. Chung-Soo hears about this on the radio. The situation gets even more perplexed now that Suho knows that Young-ro is the daughter of such an important man. Chief An is notified by his men that he should watch the news, and he turns the TV on. A report presents the public with the fact that Professor Han was almost abducted by the North. Chung-Soo communicates with the president of the party to tell him that they can't provide passage for their agents anymore. He is thinking about making the hostage situation public and killing the remaining agents, meaning Suho and Ju. Tai-il snaps at Chung-Soo because he is not decisive enough when they hear Soo-ho telling Lee that he has installed explosives on all floors of the building. If the authorities try to trick them again, they are all going to die. Tai-il claims that he expected this to happen and told his wife to use sedatives on the protesters. If she manages to do it, Han-na will disarm the bombs and they will invade the dorm with a military unit. Inside the dorm, Ju searches the doctor's stuff and finds the hidden pistol. He slaps her and then takes her near the window, aiming his gun at her. Ju is angry at Soo-ho because he is very soft and the police are playing games with them. Soo-ho tries to stop him from doing anything stupid and the two of them start fighting. As they do, the pistol ends up on Yong-ro's legs and she decides to pick it up. The situation gets tense as she points her gun at everyone. Lee gets involved trying to prevent anyone from getting hurt, but things take a new turn when Tai-il orders one of the snipers to shoot because he wants to save his wife. The sniper fails to hit any of the protesters, and Ju opens fire back at them. Soo-ho knocks the gun off Yong-ro's hands and they are able to calm down when the shootout is over. Soo-ho has a conversation with Ju, and they wonder if they should kill any of the hostages. Ju believes that they should start by killing Yong-ro, and Soo-ho gives him the green light. However, he knows that the place is wired and he only says they should kill Yong-ro for Chung-Soo to hear. He tells Ju that Yong-ro is their lifeline and they should keep her in one piece. Then, he rips off all of the mics. Right next, he brings Dr. Seong to the office to have a talk with him and Ju. The doctor now reveals that she is from the north and she is going to help them get back to their country. That's the reason she has been sent here. She tells Soo-ho that his new mission is to keep the hostages for 10 days in this building, and then they will escape to the north. Ju ties Seong again and returns her to the rest of the hostages so nobody will understand a thing. But later, Soo-ho has to get Seong again in order to check on Yong-ro, who is feeling very weak. The doctor says that Yong-ro is going to be fine. She wants to have a word with Soo-ho and reminds him that the north and the south have made a deal. Nonetheless, things can change very quickly, and they need to be wary of that. Soo-ho declares that he does not trust ANSP, which is supposed to assist them. The last time he trusted them, they opened fire against him and almost killed him. At some point, Lee manages to cut himself loose and tries to tune into the radio in the hope of hearing any useful information. However, he hears Soo-ho approaching and tries to get the rope around his body again. Soo-ho enters the room and sees him pretending to be tied while he is not. Soo-ho searches him and finds a blade on him. Then he ties him up again and warns him not to try anything funny. Soon, Chief An appears on national television to talk about the hostage situation. However, he presents the facts in a way that suits him. He announces that there are 7 spies from the north holding hostages in the dorm with the purpose of destabilizing the country. When Seong hears this, she explains that Chief An wants to make up for his incompetence. He doesn't want the public to know that he has 100 men, but they can't get a couple of spies. Soo-ho makes his move and proclaims that he is going to release 30 hostages at once. He calls Tai-il to inform him about it, but the general does not like this idea because it would make no sense to the public. He pleads with Soo-ho to keep all of the hostages inside the dorm for a little longer. In return, he will send them whatever they need. At the same time, inside the dorm, Bunok finds a bag in the kitchen along with the janitor's gambler son. The gambler sees some money in the bag and can't hold himself back. However, Ju finds them and stops them from taking anything from inside the bag. But after taking them back with the rest of the hostages, the gambler gets a pistol out and aims it at Ju. As it appears, he has sneaked it outside the bag. The gambler does not hesitate to pull the trigger, but his bad luck extends far beyond playing cards. The gun is empty, and he is now at the mercy of Ju, who starts beating him up. Later, the gambler is taken to be held in a separate room along with Lee. However, Lee manages to escape and makes it to the hut. When Tai-il is informed about this, he orders a SWAT team to force Lee to get back into the dorm. Lee doesn't understand what's going on, but the SWAT team does not allow him to get out. Lee returns to the dorm, but stumbles upon Ju, who is looking for him. Lee charges on him and the two of them start fighting. Agent Lee is able to get the upper hand, but Soo-ho appears and stops him by pointing his pistol at his head. Soo-ho takes him for a talk and Lee voices his thoughts. He doesn't even know what's going on anymore, because being forced by his own agency to get back into being a hostage is very suspicious. Lee believes that there is a scheme going on, but he can't pinpoint what is going to happen next. His best guess is that the ruling party is going to make a decision they believe will get them more votes. That decision will either be to save the students or kill everyone inside the dorm, including the students. Next, Soo-ho talks with Young-ro, who is both confused and annoyed by this situation. She hugs him to steal Soo-ho's detonator before making a run for the window to throw it outside. Soo-ho runs after her and gets his detonator back. In the meantime, Lee asks to drink some water and Ms. Pai helps him out. When she is close to him, Lee tries to convince her that they are on the same side and they should work together. However, Ms. Pai seems to have some bitter feelings against him and throws the water in his face. Then Soo-ho decides to take Lee aside and have a real talk with him, asking if he really believes that their countries are going to sacrifice all of them. Lee claims this is the most likely scenario to take place after the authorities make several attempts to get Young-ro out of the dorm. They care about her because she is the daughter of Chung-soo, but there is nothing else concerning them apart from that. Soo-ho asks Lee to get some credible evidence that he can trust and maybe they can work together. He will allow Han-na to enter the dorm later. Lee should communicate with her and ask her to bring him proof of his claims. Later, Han-na comes inside the dorm with the supplies that were promised to the protesters earlier, and Soo-ho takes her to talk to Lee. The agent outlines his thinking process for her and asks her to do her best to bring them proof of the conspiracy. When Han-na leaves, Soo-ho also releases 30 students, even though Tae-il calls him again and begs him not to do it. When she gets the chance to talk with Lee privately, Young-ro asks him about something she heard. The protesters claim that they will leave in peace, but why does it have to be in 9 days? Lee opens up to her and tells her the truth, that he suspects all of them are pawns in a larger game that is trying to manipulate the population. This game might have devastating consequences for them since they are currently powerless. In a twist of fate, Lee turns against Soo-ho again and manages to tie him up. Xiong gets involved and manages to get the detonator in her hands. She uses it to make 2 parts of the building explode and create a distraction. Then she goes to the hall and unties Soo-ho. As Lee tries to recover, Seong and Soo-ho point their guns at him to neutralize him. Dr. Seong gathers everyone in the hall and asks them who motivated them to follow Lee. It makes no sense for them to try to escape while they release 30 students. That is an indication of their good intentions. Outside the dorm, the snipers are waiting patiently to get their chance to shoot, but the protesters are well prepared and they watch not to walk by the windows. Chung-soo calls Tae-il to learn more about what happened, but the general tells him not to worry. He claims that somebody must have activated the booby traps by mistake. From what he knows thus far, nobody has been hurt. Soo-ho proceeds to talk to the hostages after instructing Ju to set some new booby traps. He tells the hostages that they are never going to be released now that they tried to trick him. They are on the same boat now, and they will share the same fate, dead or alive. In the meantime, Chung-soo decides to make his move and calls Soo-ho to tell him that he wants to speak with his daughter. Soo-ho will allow him to do so, but they will only talk in a distance while Young-ro is standing in front of the window. Xiong takes Ju aside and instructs him to shoot the girl if she tries to reveal any information about them. At the same time, Chung-soo instructs the snipers to shoot at Soo-ho as soon as they see him. When the moment comes, Soo-ho positions the girl in front of the window, while he stays under cover. Young-ro asks her father to save them and is about to talk to him about the protesters, but Ju aims at her and fires his gun. Soo-ho acts fast and takes her out of harm's way. Ju explains to Seong that the girl was about to reveal information about them, and that's why he shot. The doctor slaps Young-ro and orders Ju to take her to the basement without food and no water. Then, Seong wants to speak with Lee and Miss Pai. As it appears, the doctor's cover is blown because of Miss Pai. The director has been working for ANSP all along. She has been holding to herself that there is a secret room inside the building. She has wiretapped more areas of the building, and she has been able to listen to them. Xiong declares that their original plan was to let them go, but she wonders what her new orders will be now that she is exposed. Later, Seong goes through the files of the hostages and stops when she stumbles on Bunok's file. She believes that this girl is perfect to take on their side. Seong announces to the girl that she is going to watch over the rest of the hostages and Bunok fulfills that role. When one of the students sees her, she verbally attacks her, but Bunok slaps her across the face. When the girl stands on her feet angry, Bunok pulls a pistol out and aims it at her. indicating that she has fully accepted her new role. Meanwhile, Che Hung-soo calls the president, but his wife picks up. Chung-soo asks her for a favor, to tell the spies inside the dorm to release his daughter. On the other hand, the woman asks him for $300 million delivered within 3 days, or else they will have everyone inside the dorm killed. Later, Soo-ho is waiting to receive a message with his orders, and the message comes through. When he deciphers it, he realizes that the party wants them to kill all of the hostages one day before the election. This is getting too harsh for Soo-ho, who decides to take action that same night. He releases Lee and the two of them sneak up behind Seong. They aim their guns at her, making it clear that they are finally going to work together against her orders. Then, the two of them corner Ju and tie him up as well. Soo-ho forces Seong to communicate with the North and asks them what their plan is for him. Seong does so and receives a message that says Soo-ho is dispensable. The North does not want him back alive. Out of a sudden, Bunok appears behind them, while she is holding Yong-ro at gunpoint. Bunok is now on Seong's side and wants to assist her. She asks Soo-ho to set her free, but the latter tries to stall her. He says that taking a human life will haunt her forever. Despite his words, Bunok is not going to change her mind, and she starts walking around the room to untie Ju. Right then, Ms. Pai enters the room and also tries to convince her to stop because their priority now should be to save everyone in this building. Ms. Pai approaches her and grabs her gun, but Bunok pulls the trigger. Ms. Pai is terrified, but the gun is proved to be empty. Seong is disappointed because she will not be freed after all, while Bunok kneels on the floor. Later, Soo-ho and Lee gather everyone in the hall to inform them about the situation they are trapped in. They have no idea if the North or the South are pulling the strings, but what they know for sure is that they do not care about their lives. Soo-ho announces that they have 8 more days till the election. He and Lee will try to find a way out. When they do, they have to be prepared to move together and protect themselves, because the authorities might have orders to kill them all. Until then, everybody is free to do as they wish inside the dorm. However, they have to avoid the exits because they are booby-trapped. Soo-ho believes that some of the students might be tempted to escape alone, so he asks Ms. Pai to supervise them. When Bunok gets the chance, she grabs a radio and tries to communicate with Chief An to inform him about the new conditions inside the dorm, but Lee catches her in the act and stops her from doing so. As for the rest of the students, they start whispering to one another that they can't trust the spies to save them. Ms. Pai picks up the chatter and explains the situation to the students. She shows them some video footage of the released students being taken by ANSP. She knows that their own people can't be trusted. As far as she knows, the ruling party will blame the incident on the Communist Party, saying that they are working with the North to cause instability in North Korea. By causing a massive negative incident and blaming it on the Communist Party, the ruling party will get more votes and they will remain in power. Elsewhere, the president calls Chung-soo to tell him that Agent Lee is working with Soo-ho, and they are trying to ruin their plan. Chung-soo meets with Tae-il to tell him that they have to take action soon or else they are going to lose the election. Tae-il wants to plant bombs around the building, but Chung-soo has another plan. He wants the SWAT team to go inside the building and save his daughter. Then, they will have to send an expert to plant the bombs in order to make sure that everyone will die. This is an important operation and nobody should be left alive to tell the story after the bombs go off. Inside the dorm, Soo-ho finds Yong-ro praying and he asks her about it. The girl comments that she wishes everything will return to normal and they can go back to their lives. Actually, she wishes that Soo-ho can live a normal life like all the boys of his age. Soo-ho and Lee make their move by giving Han-na a recording exposing the truth. Han-na sends that recording to every available TV channel, but Chung-soo learns about it and orders Chief An to arrest Han-na. Tae-il decides to make a phone call inside the dorm and threatens to kill everyone if they try to expose the scheme. He exclaims that he has placed explosives around the building and he can take it down. Lee plays his game and comments that the explosives around the building are not enough to take it down. If he wants to do that, he has to plant explosives on the pillars of the building. Chung-soo understands that Tae-il is on the phone with them and intervenes. He tells them that they can do nothing because he has seized all of the recordings sent to the TV channels. He has men on all TV channels working for him. Before he hangs up, he warns Lee to stop playing games, or else he will harm Han-na. Later, Lee gathers everyone in the church inside the building to let them know that their plan has failed. The ANSP already knew about it, and he suspects that they have a mole among them. Lee wonders if there are any more radios hidden in the building, but Ms. Pai doesn't know anything about that. Lee has no other choice but to search all of the rooms where the students slept last night. One of the girls pops up and says that they all slept on the second floor last night, except for Bun Ok, who slept in her own room. Bun Ok tries to take the attention off her and reveals to everyone that Ms. Pai is on ANSP's side, so she should be their first suspect. The students are startled by this detail, and they want to know if it is true. Ms. Pai admits that she was working with the ANSP and even reveals that she was the one who wiretapped the building for them. However, she never sold anyone to them, and she quickly changed sides when she understood that they are trying to hurt her students. Lee takes Bun Ok to Seong and asks them how they managed to communicate with ANSP. Seong claims that there is not even a chance she could do that because she has been tied up all night. Suho asks Bun Ok if she has a second radio, but the girl starts crying and blames him for looking down at her from the first moment they met, even before things got messy. Lee takes Suho aside to have a word with him and informs him that the ANSP team intercepted a message coming from this dorm on December 5th. That is what made him come to the dorm to look for him. However, it appears that this message was sent before Suho came to the dorm to hide, which means that there is yet another spy in the building. This spy has been here before Suho. Lee checks the resumes of the janitor and the cooking lady, but nothing seems out of the ordinary. Then he decides to check on the kitchen with Suho, and they find a second radio hidden in a chicken. Lee turns it on, and Chung-Soo replies on the other end of the line. Lee is not speaking, but Chung-Soo understands who this is. He tries to change Lee's mind by saying that he has agreed with the president to save the students instead of killing them, but Lee is not convinced. Suho interrogates the cooking lady, but she pretends to be crazy. Eventually, she breaks under the pressure and admits that she is the spy. That night, Chung-Soo mobilizes the SWAT team, and he is about to send them in, but he receives a phone call from Suho, who asks him to meet. Suho wants Chung-Soo to see his daughter's face because that is the only thing that may convince him to save the students. A few marksmen take their places when it is time for the meeting, while Suho opens the hut's door so Young-ro can talk to her father. She begs her father to save her friends because if they die, it will feel like she is responsible for it, and she will not be able to live with that burden. The marksmen try to get involved, but Young-ro gets in front of Suho to prevent them from shooting him. Suho pulls her inside, but one of the marksmen opens fire and shoots Chung-Soo. A short flashback shows us that Tae-il was on the phone with one of the snipers and instructed him to take everyone out. When the time came, the sniper followed his command and shot Chung-Soo along with the others. Suho and his group rush back into the dorm while the news reports that the spies opened fire. The students wonder if Suho really did that, but he explains he did not. The last thing he wants to do is to make the public even angrier. In the meantime, Tae-il tells Chief An to prepare a SWAT team with the best guys he has with good combat skills. They are going to cut the power in the dorm, and then they will move in. Soon, the SWAT team is ready, and their commander tells them about their mission. Their first goal will be to kill everyone, and their second goal will be to save the doctor if possible. Soon, the SWAT team cuts the power off and enters the dorm in the dark. Suho and Lee fight against the SWAT team by using their weapons, but they know they have no chance of winning this battle. Therefore, Suho grabs the doctor and wraps dynamite around her body. Suho threatens to blow her up, which means that they are going to die along with the SWAT team. One of the SWAT members makes a few steps forward and is revealed to be Tae-il. The man is angry because he can't save his wife. Since the situation is a bit tight, he orders the SWAT team to retreat. In the hospital, A-Ra checks on her husband, but she can't come to believe that he was shot by the spies, so she decides to visit Tae-il and have a face-to-face conversation with him. Inside the dorm, Dr. Seong claims that Tae-il will try again to invade the dorm because he wants to show a good face to the president. He also wants to make up for shooting Chung-Soo. If he does not die and wakes up, he will tell everyone that he was shot by one of his own snipers. Seong comes up with a plan and asks Suho to trust her. The only way they can hurt the ruling party is by stealing their huge sums of money. She can manipulate the wives of the powerful men to find out where they keep their stash and try to steal it. Suho decides to let her go so she can put her plan into action, while Lee calls Han Na and asks her to find more information on Seong. She has been living a double life all along. Meanwhile, Chung-soo wakes up and he seems to be fine. He tells his wife not to inform anyone about him yet because he has to think about how to act when he gets better. A-Ra declares that Tae-il is afraid of him because he might even become the next president. Han Na tracks Seong for the next couple of days, and she also listens to her conversation through a wire she has placed in Tae-il's house. She hears her phone call when she communicates with a Swiss bank to ask them to open an account. When she informs Lee about it, he instructs her to follow Seong and arrest her if she goes to the airport. The money she will steal has to go to the dorm in order to resolve the hostage situation. Apart from that, Lee proclaims that they will be able to arrest Suho. Suho overhears this conversation and he turns his gun at Lee. Lee pulls his own gun, but the two men agree to stop aiming their guns because they only teamed up in order to save themselves and the students. Lee exclaims that he will have to do his job when this is over. In the meantime, Tae-il tells Chief An that they are going to destroy the dorm tonight at midnight. Chief An asks him if he is certain about it, and then wonders if they should pay the North for this operation. Tae-il instructs him to stall the payment in order to make them anxious, but in any case, the deal is that they will pay the North after the election. Soon, Tae-il receives a phone call to check on the news and he sees a doctor speaking on camera. The doctor says that they were late to treat Chung-soo's bleeding, which means that he has little possibility of surviving. Back inside the dorm, Suho communicates with Seong through the radio and tells her that she has to be back tonight by midnight. Seong asks to speak to Lee and asks him to stop tailing her, indicating that she knows she has Han Na watching over her. Seong reassures them that she will be back inside the dorm tonight before terminating the communication. That day, Chief An learns that Seong is a spy and uses that opportunity to get in Tae-il's face. After humiliating him for being tricked by his wife, he asks his men to arrest him. Tae-il tries to resist but insticks a gun on his head and threatens him that he will shoot him just like Tae-il did with Chung-soo. Later, Chung-soo communicates with Suho to tell him that he will prepare a car for him and the rest of the protesters to leave safely. Suho asks if he can guarantee the safety of the students if they live, and Chung-soo replies that he will broadcast live and allow the students to unite with their parents. Young-ro jumps on the call and tells her father that she needs to see with her own eyes that Suho will leave the country safely. Chung-soo has no other choice but to tell his daughter that she can get in the car with him. After this talk, Young-ro asks Suho where he is going to go, but the man remains silent. Young-ro tells him that she wants to see him again after this is over, and Suho replies that they are going to see each other again as long as they are alive. A new detail is revealed as Suho's sister is being kept as collateral. If the dorm fails to blow up, his sister will be in danger. Elsewhere, Chief An interrogates Tae-il, blaming him that he and his spy of a wife are working together to steal the secret fund of ANSP. However, Tae-il manages to intimidate him and proves to him that he is playing a game he can't understand. Chief An lets him go free, and Tae-il takes control of the ANSP again. Inside the dorm, Ju has managed to set himself free, and he interrupts the conversation Suho is having with Young-ro. Ju tells him that his orders are to kill Suho, and after he completes his mission, his mother will be safe. Suho tries to change his mind by saying that the only way his mother will be safe is if he stays alive and goes to find her. Ju is not going to change his mind and aims his gun at them, but he is suddenly shot in his leg. Seong is back and Suho is very happy to see her in a moment like this. In the meantime, Chung-soo returns to the operation and Tae-il is very surprised to see him. Chung-soo tells him that he should have put a better sniper to shoot at him and then asks the agents to arrest him. Tae-il grabs the detonator and tells everyone to stay back or else he will blow up the dorm. However, Seong communicates with them and tells them that she has stolen $300 million, so if they blow the dorm up, they can kiss the money goodbye as well. Later, Suho calls Chung-soo to tell him that they can work something out. He has a win-win proposal for him. They will hand him the $300 million and Chung-soo will allow them to escape. Then Chung-soo will use the money to pay the North and will tell them that he killed the spies, meaning that he took the money from them as well. Chung-soo agrees and tells them to leave in 5 minutes, but Suho does not want to leave until all the students are released. Chung-soo promises him that the students will be safe because he believes his daughter when she says that she is not going to be able to live with the burden of her fellow students dying. Lee prompts Soo-ho to leave along with the other spies so they can get on a ship to North Korea, and he will stay back to take care of the students. Soo-ho greets Yong-ro goodbye, and she asks him when they are going to meet again. Soo-ho wants her to have a safe life, so he says that he is going to forget about her as soon as he leaves this place. Soo-ho and the other spies start moving while one of the students hears the janitor speaking on another secret radio. The voice on the other end of the radio told him that everybody is going to die. Yong-ro runs after Soo-ho to warn him, but he is already gone. Elsewhere, Han-na helps a reporter escape custody and takes him to a radio station. The two of them start broadcasting and expose the scheme that is putting the lives of the students in danger. Han-na also addresses Lee and the students to tell them to hold tight, but the broadcast is suddenly cut off. Elsewhere, the group of northern spies divides into two and agrees to meet later on near the ship they are supposed to catch. However, Ju is killed and Soo-ho realizes that the students are in danger. Seon asks him to forget about it, but Soo-ho can't do that and decides to go back. Tae-il rides a tank through the city and announces publicly that he is going to put an end to the hostage situation. Lee tells everyone inside the dorm that they have to leave before the SWAT team breaks in. Yong-ro offers to create a distraction so the rest of the students can leave, but things take an unexpected turn when the cooking lady steps on a booby trap and causes an explosion. Yong-ro tries to take care of her while Soo-ho makes it back to the dorm. The two of them meet again after all, but they have to hurry as the SWAT team comes in and opens fire. The two of them run on the roof while the rest of the students make it out through the hut and are picked up by Han-na, who is driving a bus. Eventually, Soo-ho and Yong-ro are cornered and the SWAT team shoots the spy. Soo-ho falls on the floor dead, but before he dies, he gives Yong-ro a recording and prompts her to stay strong. After this incident, the hostage scheme is exposed and the ruling party is overturned. Chief An, Tae-il, and Chung-soo end up in prison along with their leader, and a new day arises for South Korea. Thanks for watching. Press the subscribe button to watch more cool videos.